What are the 3 best books by Grant Cardone, motivational author? As a salesperson especially, I work in internet sales for a car dealership. It can be overstated how much of an effect Grant's had on me, but this guy gets a lot of haters. So I try not to let that be a huge hindrance on my ability to review his books, and I think I do a pretty decent job. Some of them didn't hit me as hard as others, but in his bibliography, they all play a different role. For anyone who has seen all my reviews of his books, I also try to include a few things in these videos that you won't find in those. So before we get to the top 3 best Grant Cardone books to check out, I will add a constructive comment for him. Who knows, someday, Grant might check this video out. I have no idea. He's not Gary Vaynerchuk, who's most likely just checking videos out about him any time of the day, 3 o'clock in the morning. Something I would change about Grant as an author is ultimately how on topic he is. From time to time, he'll add sections about time management or sales or follow-up that seem a little unnecessary in the overall scheme of a title. And I'm like, okay, I mean, this information, I can certainly ride with it, but like, why is it here? Just about every single one of his books, for example, has a chapter on goal setting. Although it can't be overstated how important goal setting is in general, I think it can be overstated how relevant it is to getting your way in life or being the first person others think about when they need a product or service. You know what I mean? So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 3 best books by motivational author Grant Cardone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be taught in schools. It should be on the news. It should be everywhere. If that's something you agree with, please make sure to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Number 3. How to get and stay motivated. The audio version of this book, maybe it's not a book. I don't know. I think it's a book, and there's an audiobook. One thing's for sure. There's an audiobook. Well, that audiobook has 76 chapters. I don't know why. Most books I check out have like 13 or something. The book is just filled to the brim with different ways to stay motivated. Running everywhere you go, doing things that scare you, eating the healthiest foods you can afford, being the first up in your neighborhood, or as Grant calls it, beating the sun. These are really weird like constraints that you're putting on yourself that have nothing to do with each other. Like eating the healthiest food. Yeah, it's good to eat the healthiest food, and it's good to eat, what you can afford. How many people really associate how much you can afford with how healthy the food is that you can eat? I don't know. Same exact thing in your neighborhood. I mean, it could be in your county, in your state, in your country. It's just really odd how specific these things were to me. Reading a book a week instead of a day, or every 2 days, or every month, or every other week. The average person reads 1 book a year. I've been doing these reviews for like 2 years, and I've reviewed over like 250 or something like that. Although I'm kind of treating it like a full-time occupation. Still, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but when I think of motivation, I do not think of a book like this. That's what's really peculiar about it to me. How to get and stay motivated is just far too practical for anyone who's just looking for some juice, per se. Maybe some of these you've heard before, but this title is a big reminder of them. Because not everyone does these things. Again, the reason I talk about them on this channel is because I want them to be normal. I want them to be something that everyone does. This is just his least motivational book and his most practical book at that. And that's a little strange, but it's definitely unique. And it definitely stands out in his bibliography, and it's definitely pretty underrated if you ask me. The number 2 best Grant Cardone book is If You're Not First, You're Last. Economically speaking, this book was written as an in case of emergency break glass type of safety valve. I mean, I've never heard of a safety valve made out of glass. But honestly, if I were watching, I wouldn't even get my point. Here, let me try that again. This book was written as a safety valve behind a glass that you have to break in case of economic emergency. It's probably his most urgent title. And aside from number 1, I'd say this is probably the book of his that shines the most of a light on his contrarian viewpoints. Or as I say in some of these videos, I like to think I invented this word, Cardonian. It's just a lot of really strange logic, but you check it out and you're like, well, he's not wrong. The chapter about reactivating your own power base, which means everyone you used to be friends with like 10 years ago, old Facebook friends who you met in like summer camp or middle school, how to reach out to those people for business reasons. Who does this? I've never heard of this in any other book. And he calls it your power base. And he says that everyone has one. And that's where you need to start. Cardone didn't use this word to describe if you're not first, but I would certainly call it apocalyptic. Perfect for a time when everyone is confused and scared and just not financially sure what to do. And that chapter, by the way, that's just one chapter. There's so many other chapters that have those really odd, out-of-the-box thinking, strategies and ideas. There's a really nuts chapter about pricing. Like, basically, if you checked out this book at the right time, you turned out okay. The best book by Grant Cardone is Be Obsessed or Be Average. B-O-B-A. Boba. If you're not first, may as well be considered feel. And how to get and stay motivated, you could call it hitgasm. This one really separates Grant from other motivational authors. I think motivational author is a little bit misleading. In fact, because he is known for so many things that have nothing to do with being a motivational author. As I said in the review, his results are not normal motivational speaker results. I mean, the cover of this book is a real picture of him straddling a Gulfstream 550 jet that he owns. Aren't those like $50 million or something? You know what they say, you can fake a Lambo, but you can't fake a jet. I don't know if he has a Lamborghini. I know he has like a different car for every single day of the week, but none of the cars are fake. He had a video on YouTube showing off the cars. He's like, this is my Friday ride. It's like, BOBA also, of course, separates itself from his other books as probably the most aggressive and boastful. Be boastful or be average. Ba-ba-ba. You learn a lot in this book. You learn about what obsession is, how it can be a good thing, what to be obsessed with. In the beginning of the book, there's this chapter about how it ruined and like reshaped his life, which was really open and vulnerable and touching, but he didn't explain all of it in this way that seems like he's just kind of, playing a victim card. So you learn about how obsession can be a good thing, what to be obsessed with, dominating to win, staying dangerous, over-delivering on things you overpromise, and why you should be over-delivering and over-promising. A really almost kind of over-the-top philosophy on, management philosophy on building an obsessed team. It's more than, although you probably wouldn't think this just watching this video, by definition, a truly educational book. By definition of education, it introduces an idea to you. It thoroughly tells you, very thoroughly, how you can apply the idea to yourself. My actual favorite book by Grant, because it made the biggest impact on my life, it was the first one I ever checked out by him, was of course the 10X Rule. A lot of people who know Grant, they got into him through the 10X Rule. This book, it dives a little deeper into a lot of topics from the 10X Rule. For anyone just getting into Grant, the 10X Rule I think is probably like the best thing you could possibly check out. But Be Obsessed or Be Average, it introduces you to an idea. It tells you how to very thoroughly apply that idea to yourself, and then it explains how you can spread the idea outward to others. It's a different angle in a lot of different ways from the 10X Rule of an approach to success. But its aggressive nature is like the pinnacle of Grant's viscera as an author, and in combination with the whole educational book thing, that's why I gave it number 1. So those are the 3 best books by motivational author Grant Cardone. Please let me know what you guys think. Was I missing anything? Is there anything you would change about the list? I hope you guys like this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. And it helps with ranking and SEO and all this other stuff, and I really appreciate it because so much work goes into making these videos. Other than that, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe, but if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.